Hi, and welcome to the second section on Rust programming language, Understanding Compound Types. In this video we will speak about creating and working with structs. And specifically we will cover creating struct, accessing values in the struct, copying values from a struct, and working with tuple struct. So let's begin by creating a struct. Struct is a compound data type, which means it has multiple values. Let's write struct for home. We write struct home, curly brackets, and here we will enter values for name, rooms, and if it's being sold. Name will be string, rooms will be I32, and sold will be a boolean. Now let's create an instance of the struct. We write let home1 be equal to home, and here we will write values for the variables name, rooms, and sold. We will name it my home. We will have 13 rooms, and it will not be sold. Now let's output the value of sold to the screen. And let's run our code. Also remember to put a semicolon at the end of the struct instance. We have some unimportant warnings, and let's run the code. As you can see, the value of false has been outputted to the screen. Now let's try to change this value. For this we will make a home1 mutable variable and change the value of sold. We will access it with dot notation. Now let's see what our program does. And as you can see, the value has been changed. Now we will practice copying values from one struct to another. So let's create a struct home2. We will set the value of sold to be equal to false and copy other values from home1 by writing home1. Now let's output the values of sold and rooms in the home2. Now let's see what our code does. As you can see, the value 13 has been copied from home1 struct, and the value of sold has been set to be equal to false. Now let's create a tuple struct. Tuple struct is a simpler struct which looks like tuple. In the tuple struct we don't have names for the variables. We simply have the variable types. So let's create a tuple struct home. We'll do this by changing curly brackets to parentheses and copying the variable types to the parentheses. And putting semicolon at the end. Now let's set the values for an instance of a struct. We write let home1 be equal to home, and here we will write values for the variables. We will name it my. Set the value of 12 for the I32 and set the value of true for the boolean. Now let's output the value of rooms, in this case just I32, to the screen. We will access the I32 by the notation we used for tuples, which is dot notation. But in this case we will write the value instead of the name of the variable, just like in tuples. By writing 1, we access the third variable, I32. Now let's see what our code does. And the value of 12 has been outputted to the screen just as expected. This is how we can create and work with structs in Rust programming language.